throw it back any more than it did on the pistol range?
I don't know how far it threw it back.
Even though you weren't ready for it to be fired, right?
That's right.
By the way, the gun you described as a light trigger pull, and you heard the expert describe it, I think, as a medium trigger pull.
That's
right. Talked about pounds and things like that. Do you know what the term a hair trigger means?
Sure.
Could you tell the jury?
A hair trigger is a pull that theoretically all it would take would be a human hair touching it in order for it to go off. A hair trigger is practically no effort whatsoever.
And then the Mauser, the gun, people's number one in evidence, that took some effort, whether it be light or medium or 10 pounds or whatever. It took some effort. You actually have to pull the trigger to fire this gun, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, getting back to your relationship with Trudy for a moment. You met her in about September of last year, right?
Yes.
And you very quickly found yourself falling in love with her. Is that fair to say?
That is.
I mean, so quickly that you proposed marriage to her, correct?
I did.
So quickly that within a month you wanted her and persuaded her to live together with you, right?
I wouldn't say I persuaded her. It was a mutual decision.
Well, the fact is that you proposed marriage to her and she didn't accept that proposal, right?
That's right.
In fact, you were never sure of her feelings towards you. Quite sure, right?
I wouldn't say never.
Often?
There were times.
You gave a statement to the police the very day that you were arrested after the shooting death of Trudy Doyle. Do you recall that?
Yes, I do.
And that statement was made at about 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, correct?
Yes.
That would be sometime 10 hours, 11 hours after Trudy died.
Approximately 24 hours after I had last had any sleep.
Move to strike is unresponsive.
Last portion of the witness's answer is strictly unresponsive.
You're a police officer. You were a police officer, correct?
Yes.
You've testified at trials before, correct?
Yes.
You've testified as a witness for the state before, correct?
Yes.
You know how a witness is asked questions, correct?
Yes.
You know what a response to a question properly is, don't you?
Yes, I do.
All right. When I asked you, withdrawn. When you spoke to the detectives at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, that was about 10 hours after the death of Trudy, correct? 9 hours after the death of Trudy.
Approximately.
Fair to say?
Yes. Yes.
There was time enough during that period of time for you to collect your thoughts. Is that fair to say?
I wasn't able to collect my
Move
thoughts.
to strike. That wasn't the question.
It was an answer, Your Honor. Excuse me for not standing up, Judge. That was a fine answer.
I withdraw my objection. You weren't able to collect your thoughts after 9 hours, correct?
That's right.
But there was time enough if you had been able to collect your thoughts, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And there was time enough for you to think over what happened, correct?
There was time.
Did you think over what happened?
Sure.
Is there something different in thinking over what happened from collecting your thoughts that you had a problem with?
Will you let me answer?
I asked you, is it different? You can say yes or no. Is there something different? I'll let you answer.
No, there's nothing different.
And when you spoke to the detectives, you spoke at length, didn't you?
Yes.
In fact, you've seen your statement, several typed pages, right?
Yes, I have.
And there was a stenographer there taking it down as you spoke, correct?
Yes, there was.
Much like there's a stenographer in the courtroom today, correct? Taking everything down you're saying today, right?
That's right.
Okay. And did you say during that interview that you could never be certain about Trudy's feelings? Did you say that?
That's what I said.
Okay. Was it true then?
It wasn't quite accurate.
Okay, because as you've testified today, you weren't. There were times you were sure and times you weren't, right?
That's right.
Okay. And you've had more time to collect your thoughts since December 1st.
A lot more.
Right? You've had more time to deliberate and think about what happened that day, right?
Yes, I did.
Now, After you left, spent 6 years in the Marine Corps, is that right?
That's right.
And I forget what rank you rose to. You rose to the rank of...
Sergeant First Class.
That's a fairly honorable and high rank, is it not?
Something I'm very proud of.
And when you left with an honorable discharge, correct?
Of course.
And you left to pursue a dream, is that right?
Yes.
You left to pursue the dream of helping and protecting people, correct?
Yes.
And that dream was fulfilled by you becoming a member of the New York City Police Force, is that right?
NIDA.
Were you New York or NIDA, Judge?
NIDA.
Oh, okay. NIDA City Police Force.
That's right.
And that must have been quite a feeling of accomplishment as well for you.
It was wonderful.
And do you think you were doing a good job as a police officer?
I know I did.
You got commendations?
Sure.
Had no problems on the police force, correct?
I was a very good officer.
Okay. And your marriage at some point failed, correct?
Yes.
Okay. But you still maintained a close relationship with your children, is that true?
No, that's not true.
Did you maintain as close a relationship as you were able to?
As close as I could, yes.
You loved them, correct?
Of course.
You cared for them, right?
Yes.
Okay. And in September of last year, you fall in love with this person you think is the woman of your dreams, fair to say?
Yes.
And she's going to fulfill your life, right? You hope.
I had hoped so.
You hope. You're now in the job of your dreams, right?
Yes.
You're doing it well.
That's right.
It's got to be icing on the cake for you, right?
It was very satisfying.
And you're in love with this wonderful woman, right?
Yes.
And it's this wonderful woman, and which one? This wonderful woman that you wanted to help, I believe you said, and to help her to become stronger and more independent, correct?
That's right.
Okay. Now this wonderful woman that you were in love with, she had already left a marriage with a wife-beating drunk, right?
That's right.
She was living alone on her own, correct? Up until moving in with you, she was living alone, right?
No, she was living with another waitress for some point before then. I don't know.
She had a roommate?
Yes.
Okay. The roommate wasn't caring for her. She was living at an apartment and sharing it with a roommate,
they were just
correct?
roommates,
Okay.
sure.
She had a steady job, correct?
Yes.
You're shrugging. Did she have a steady job or not, Mr. Diamond?
It was a steady job.
She worked every day, right?
Every night.
She earned a living, right?
Barely.
Did she earn a living?
Yes, she did.
She earned a living. She lived in an apartment by herself, supported by no one, had a steady job. She maintained a relationship with someone who loved her. She left the marriage with a wife beater, and you were going to make her stronger and more independent. Is that your testimony?
Yes, it is.
You're in the job of your dreams. You're doing it well. You're getting commendations. You're earning accomplishments there. You never want to do anything else after leaving the Marines.
Excuse me, Your Honor. The
There's gonna be a
procedure
question.
normally is to ask a question.
It's going to be a question, Judge. This is a question.
That means that one asks.
Forgive me, Mr. Kennedy. I didn't make speeches to the jury. I appreciate you.
Question mark at the end.
Mr. Kennedy. Thank you. You may be seated.
Thank you.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
Yes, you may.
Thank you. You're in the job of your dreams, which you're doing well and accomplishing good things, right?
Yes, sir.
You're in love with a wonderful woman,
Yes,
correct?
sir.
You hope she'll marry you.
Of course.
You're living together.
That's right.
You're getting commendations.
Yes, sir.
But you're running off to California to start a new life because it's not going well for you. That was your testimony, right?
That's right.
Now, these plans that you made to go to California, you say that you made them, we're going to leave for California with or without Trudy Doyle, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. But it's a fact, and I think you said it already, that your hopes and dreams were that she would leave with you, right?
Of course I did.
And Up until December 1st, the date of her death, she never told you she was going to go with you.
That's right.
She never acted in a way she was going to go with you, right?
That's right.
She didn't pack any of her belongings, correct?
She did not.
She went to work after your resignation on the 28th of November, correct?
Yes.
She was at work the day you were checking out of your job and packing your equipment, right?
Right.
She was at work as you're getting ready to leave California, right?
Yes, she was.
But your hope and dream is that she's going to finally say to you, yes, I'll come with you. I love you, right?
I certainly hope that.
But the fact of the matter is, you knew she wasn't going with you in the depth of your heart, didn't you?
No.
Excuse me, Your Honor. What time?
On December 1st, 1997, you knew before you ever spoke with Trudy Doyle that she wasn't going to California with you. Didn't you know that?
No.
She had a 2-year-old child that she loved and adored, correct?
Yes.
Now, at some point you began training her with this gun, right?
Yes, I
And
did.
you began training her with judo, correct?
That's right.
And when you were in the house, when that gun was in the house, it was always unloaded, right?
Only after we started playing the game where she would grab it from my waist.
Well, you had been playing that game for at least a month with her, correct?
I couldn't say the exact.
I didn't ask you for exact. I said
I don't know if it was a month.
3 weeks?
Could have been.
Several weeks?
Yeah.
Okay. So for several weeks prior to the death of Trudy Doyle, that gun was in the house, and it was unloaded, right?
Yes.
And in fact, you gave her that gun as a gift, right?
That's right.
You gave her your off-duty pistol, the Mauser, people
Yes.
someone, right? And you never went and bought another off-duty gun, correct?
That's right.
Okay. Now, and it remained with her until, as you told the jury, you took it back. I think it would have been November 27th, correct?
That's right.
November 27th, Trudy returns from the hospital, and you decide she can no longer have possession of this gun, and the first thing you do is hide this unloaded weapon, right?
Well, no, I hid a loaded weapon.
So some point between the time it was unloaded and you were playing with her and gave it to her as a gift and the time that you decided to hide it, you loaded this gun. Is that right?
The gun, yeah.
And so in order to protect Trudy, who you were fearful of might do some injury, either self-inflicted or otherwise, with this weapon you didn't know, she came back from the hospital and you hid this weapon and kept it loaded, right?
Yes.
When you played the game with her of snatching the gun where you weren't concerned that she might commit suicide or intentionally do injury to somebody else, then you unloaded it to protect from an accident, correct?
Yes.
When she came home from the hospital and you thought she might intentionally injure someone, specifically herself, then you had it loaded, right?
It was no longer her gun.
But it was in the house. You hid it, right?
Yes.
And you kept it loaded, right?
As it had always been, before I even met her.
Before you met her, it had been loaded, right? Which one? Up until November 27th, it had been her gun, right?
You say up until. I had only given it to her barely 2 weeks before then.
Okay. So for the prior 2 weeks before November 22nd, you had given her a gun which was unloaded, correct? I just want to make sure. Is that correct?
She had the gun, she had the clip, she had the bullets.
You know, you heard Benbrook testify, did you not?
Yes, I did.
Is he correct that while Trudy was lying dead in that vestibule and you were in the police car, that for the entire time that you were in that police car and she was lying there on the vestibule floor, up into and through the time that the coroner came and examined her body, is it true you never glanced over there? That's what Sergeant Benbrook said. Do you recall that?
I recall him saying that,
Yeah,
but
he testified to that. Is that true?
I don't remember.
Now, the operation of this Mauser, just to be clear, you indicated before that you, in order to fire it, you must undo the safety and cock it. Is that correct?
That's correct. Actually, there must be a round that's already chambered.
So you have to chamber a round, correct?
Sure.
Cock the trigger, correct?
Yes.
And undo the safety. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. Now, by the way, you demonstrated it as I'm demonstrating it now, correct? In front of the jury. The jury can see me, thumb on